Let me come back here and make this one 20. Let's talk about bay windows for a second. If we're talking about bay windows, there's another form of alignment that you would have that allows you to complete that. So if I come through and I make an angled line, most bay windows are 2 by 2, so I'm going to make that one 2 and this one 2, and it brings my line into view. But then I'll draw the face of the bay window itself, and let's say that's 8. But now you notice these alignment dots that are here, and we'll talk about all these alignment dots that we've got, because these alignment dots allow you to really draw in a dot-to-dot fashion. And when you're drawing along, you can tap on each one of these, and you can continually come in alignment with other points that it's showing you that it's aligned with. Let me go ahead and undo that. But on this bay window that we have here, you notice a blue dot as well. That blue dot is really the finishing angle that you have on the other side of the bay window. By tapping that, it closes that bay window off. But you notice another one out here as well. Let me show you another neat feature that allows you to really accomplish some of those more difficult properties in less time. So when I undo these here, I'm going to show you, let's say that the first angle was something like 4. So I'm going to make it 4, and this one here is 6. You notice this window here, this alignment point here. I'll tap on that. I'll tap on the next blue one as well. And what about the next one? And as you continue to do that, you might have properties that actually have these shapes that are there. And you'll notice that it alternated between 4 feet and 6 feet. If I would have made that 6, 4, it would have stayed 4 all the way around, so that when you get into these odd shapes that we know exist that are out there, you can tackle them very easily. Let me go ahead and undo that. Let's go ahead and get rid of that bay window. Just to really, that was just to give you some idea of how angles actually work. Let's turn this back to 35. So now we've got angles, we've got lines, we've shown how to attach the different lines that you would draw. Now it's time to just go ahead and draw the area. I'm going to come here 15 feet. I'm going to use this alignment point here to come back in alignment with the 13-foot line down there. This was really supposed to be 15. And again, that's the neat thing about Nexus, is that you can go back at any time and change the dimensions to what they need to be. Let's go ahead and come up here 14 feet. And you'll notice it's also the free-form fashion of Nexus itself, and allowing you to draw in any direction at any point. So I'm going to come across 10 feet here. Let's come up 3 feet. Across 10. Let's draw the last couple angles here. 7.2. Tap on that one and close that particular area. So we've got that area drawn. Let's go ahead and draw in the garage that's out here on the front. Let's make this 20. Let's come up 24. Come across to this point. You notice that I don't have to draw back to the point of beginning. That is that way in Medina. You have to draw back to the point of beginning in order to get the calculation. Nexus is quite different in that we will recognize the shapes that you're drawing as you go and define them later. Notice also I haven't defined anything yet. 6 feet here. Let's come up 10. Now I want to draw a curve. That's something we haven't talked about yet. I'll tap on the curve tool. And curves in Nexus are as simple as just drawing them. Let me bring that into the center so that you can view it. And drawing curves might be shallow. It might be a half circle. Well, that was a little bigger than a half circle. Or a big sweeping curve that you might have. But anything that you draw in a curve, it will try to render that as best as it can based on what you see. And when you do that, then you're introduced with all the elements that make up that curve, so that you can then utilize whatever it is that you have at your disposal in the field to draw and finish that shape based on what it is that you can measure. You've got the rise and run, this 10 by 10 here of the chord itself. You've got the chord length. You've got the arc height. You also have the radius here. It's kind of covered up by that 10-foot dimension, and also the degree of curvature and the arc length. So you have all this information really at your disposal that you can choose the best way to go back and change this curve. If this curve happened to be just a rounded corner, a 90-degree curve, you could just write in 90 and it'll round it off just fine. And that's really as simple as it gets in terms of drawing curves. And now you're ready to define your areas. I've drawn this shape. Now I want my calculations. So I'll come over here to the Define Area tab, and I'll drag first floor into this area here. This was an example over here. Do you see this right here? This is an example of missing that red dot. And this is perfect in terms of being able to see it. Let me zoom in and I'll show you what I was talking about. You see over here, right here where this gap is? That's what I was talking about in terms of being able to finish that particular area. In this particular case, I can't define this area because this line here isn't really joined up. And that's probably because when I came around, I didn't notice my big red dot and just drew right off of it, and I completely missed it. So in drawing, in order to avoid this, you'll want to slow down and make sure you have that big red dot before you actually do it. This is a good example because now, in order to fix that, all you have to do is come here to that dimension, delete it. You can scratch it out like this, and it'll remove it. Or, let me go ahead and put it back. If I wanted to delete it, you could have done a pigtail, and that would have also deleted it. Let me undo it again. Or you could have just taken it and changed what its dimension needed to be in order to close that. But the easiest thing here is to remove it, then come back and draw it. Got the big red dot, come up to the top, and now it's closed. You don't see a gap here anymore. And so now, when I select it, you can see the entire area that it belongs to is selected as well. So we've got that. Now let's define the area. So we come through and we hit define, come across, drag first floor out into that, and it gives you your calculation right away. You've got your patio here, so let's go to patios. Let's go to porch. That probably works okay. Actually, let's go with enclosed wood deck. Let's do that. Drop that in place. It gives us our calculation there. And now, let's go to garage. Like I said earlier, you notice that I didn't draw this last line on the left side, but it automatically detects that's garage. If you have codes that are in your garage that you can actually use to come through and place those things, you can also ink in the code itself as well. But I'm going to take this attached garage, I'm going to drag it in place, and there's my garage. And so what we've got is the area finished and the area is calculated, and now we might have a second floor. So let's go to second floor. Let's make room for the second floor here. I'm just moving these things around so you can see the lines that I'm going to make a little better. You notice, by the way, some of these double dimensions that we've got, you can come back at any point, come back and select those. That's because it created those dimensions for this particular area that it has. So you can come through and delete each one of those that you would have on there just by tapping on it and then hitting your delete, and you're ready to go. That'll help clean it up a little bit. So we've got our first floor, we've got our second floor, and our second floor doesn't take up quite the same amount as the first floor does, but it uses some of the same outline of that first floor. In fact, all this area right here where our first floor label is really open to below. This area over here on the right side of the first floor is actual second floor area that we'd like to draw. In this case, I'll go to my line draw tool, and let's go ahead and draw those lines in. This one's 12. I'm going to go ahead and tap on this alignment point, then this one, and then this one as well. So now I've got this shape right here that makes up the second floor, and I need to define it. So let's do that by going to our second floor and dragging that into place. So now we've got our second floor. Let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. Move this all to the left. Go ahead and grab that second floor, drag it out here to the right so that you can see it. And you'll notice that all I had to draw were just the lines that were different between the second and the first floor.